mistakes were made, but I did not haul, gut, and carve 4 giant-ass pumpkins for nothing. So I am documenting my failure. Alright, story time. I grew up in the autumnless swampland of Florida. You can't really carve a pumpkin and leave it outside on display for all of your neighbors for more than, say, 36 hours. It will rot, it will melt, it will be bad. I'm filming this on October 29th. It is sunset and it is 86 degrees outside. Pumpkins cannot withstand this. Last year, over Halloween, I was in Richmond, Virginia. I was able to see leaves change for the first time, which was amazing, and I got to see a bunch of carved pumpkins outside. What a thought. I started to ask around, and locals were like, yeah, left this out for 2 weeks. And I asked some people who had lived up north before, yeah, apparently you can carve your pumpkin and leave it outside. A very novel concept to me. Okay, so in Florida, you cannot put a carved pumpkin on your porch without serious consequences. No worries. But there's gotta be a way to make it last a little bit longer, right? According to the internet, yes. So, I put the internet's top anti-pumpkin rotting strategies to the test in a horrific head-to-head. You've heard of man versus nature? This is pumpkin versus Florida, baby. Let's get nasty. The internet actually has a fair amount of suggestions to varying levels of actionability. The 3 most frequent that I found were 1. Not cutting the stem off. 2. Bleach bath. And 3. Vaseline. So I bought 4 pumpkins. 3 to test the internet methods, and 1 control group gourd. As I not so obliquely alluded, things did not go well. So feel free to guess which went most horrifically. That's what we're dealing with, people. So carving-wise, I actually really liked the not cutting off the stem and cutting off the back and taking off a section, because you just were able to get in and just get out all the guts so easily. It just, I don't know, it came apart really, really well. There's some sort of accessibility that was achieved by not cutting off the top stem and like reaching down and having to pull up and out. Like you were kind of, this is all horrific hand gestures. It was good. It helped. It worked. It just made the guts easier to get. There's a 2-step plan for the bleach method. First, I put it in a tub of mainly warm water and then about a cup of bleach or so. And I just kind of rolled it around so I could cover all the parts. The idea is to kill the outside bacteria or germs or dirt or whatever, so you're not cutting in and carving in and kind of like pushing that into the pumpkin, I guess. I know I should have worn gloves and I didn't. I just kind of got the whole thing, dried it off, and I used some of that solution afterwards to spray all of the cut and gutted portions on the inside. Also, I had started to carve to remind myself which one was which, so I carved kind of the word bleach, but not fully for the bleach one, and then I was like, no, that's not a real test, it has to be faces. So I think we decided that the acronym on the bleach pumpkin is bad leg, can't hop. So the rest were faces. Science. The Vaseline was quite a texture journey. I very messily smothered all of the cut areas with Vaseline. It was gross, but it was hilarious. I also left way too much residue. That might have been part of the problem. I will not be trying again to find out. At some point during the pumpkin carving process, I rolled 2 pumpkins together and presumably would have smushed my finger, but I had a ring on and it broke instead. So I'm really sad because I really liked that ring. It was cool and vintage, but I'm glad I didn't horrifically break my finger. But also, shout out to that vintage ring that died for my protection. Burr, burr, burr. Thank you for your sacrifice, little ring. Okay, first 24 hours, I do a check-in. It's day 1. Everyone's looking good. Everyone's looking great at the 24-hour check-in. If anyone looked the most healthy and happy at the 24-hour check-in, I would say it was probably the no-cut stem pumpkin. The no-cut stem pumpkin, I feel like, looked the best at the 24-hour mark. 24 hours in, still looking okay. Still pretty equal. If anyone looked top tier, I would say Vaseline. I think Vaseline looked pretty good. But then 72 hours in, the bugs found them. I think they were fruit flies. The ones with the most fruit flies. Who had the most fruit flies? The control gourd had a lot of fruit flies, as well as the stem pumpkin. I think those 2 had the most fruit flies. Bleach had fewer. Vaseline, I think, had almost none at all. Kind of shocking, because again, I did that kind of poorly. Theoretically, at this point, due to the lack of bugs, Vaseline is a front runner, right? There are no front runners. We are all losers here today. I am the greatest loser. I had to clean up after myself. 96 hours in, I think. There had been a historical amount of rain, which brought an unsettling amount of mold. Ah! Oh god, ew, the horror. I will never forget the plume of particles that came up when I lifted that lid. Okay, maybe I shouldn't open these up. Oh god, okay, I'm gonna throw these away. Well, it was horrific. I will say, shock of all shocks, Mr. Keep the Stem smushed the most. The literal horror. Just utterly melted. Nasty, gross, liquefied horror film. Saw franchise. I assume it was also the most moldy. I literally just could not tell because it was so smushy. So I guess that method loses, or loses the most. I was going to score these on how well they worked and how easy they were. I would say Vaseline, a lot of people just have it around. It was very weird to apply, but it wasn't difficult, although getting it, because you're supposed to get it both on the carved parts and apparently also on the inside, although not every article mentioned that. Depending on the size of your pumpkin, covering all of the carved inside takes a lot of Vaseline, so don't know about that. Bleach bath, doing the spray, if you already have a little spray bottle, not that difficult. And like I said, cutting not the stem I thought was going to be a real pain, but it actually was pretty convenient and went really well for the carving and gutting process. I think Vaseline technically won, if you have to pick a winner. I would blame it on the rain more, and maybe would have considered trying again, but the next weekend I did some social pumpkin carving with some friends. They left theirs outside, and they were biohazards within 3 days. They hadn't treated them with any of the treatments, but certainly theirs got real moldy, and there was no rain, so the mold was inevitable. The methods did not prevent it that much. I kept mine inside and it honestly didn't last that much longer. Maybe we should leave pumpkins alone, I don't know. So what have we learned? The lamest answer is the realest one. Do not carve your pumpkin more than like 36 hours before Halloween if you want to have it out on display on the actual spooky day. Or paint them. Or move somewhere colder. That's what I plan to do for next Halloween. Live somewhere colder. Alright, well, see you next spooky season, and happy carving. I didn't even get to put a candle in any of them. Oh, they would have gone up so fast. Oh my gosh.